Hello, and thank you for joining me again today on the Finding Hope After Loss podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. You can really help the show reach more loss and infertility families by taking a moment to leave a positive review or rating on Apple or Spotify. Check us out on Patreon for exclusive bonus content. Just go to patreon.com/Finding Hope After Loss. You can also check out more information about the episode in the show notes at journeyforjasmine.com. Today I am talking with Sonia. She is the mother of one daughter named Autumn, who is stillborn at 32 weeks. In this episode, she talks about her journey to get pregnant, her loss, and how providers need to have more compassionate care for parents who have gone through a pregnancy loss. Hello, everyone. Today I am here with Sonia. Sonia, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, so I live in Vaughan, Ontario, in Canada, and I am a teacher and I work with kids with special needs. So it's like a self-contained room. It's called the community class. It's like the official title. So I work with 6 kids. They all have autism and they kind of range from the spectrum to like nonverbal, high functioning, things like that. Don't know how old I am. I'm 30. I'm going to be 39 in July. I'm Italian background.
We're the same age, actually, because I just turned 38, so
Oh, okay. Yeah. So,
little. But right now we're the same age because you don't have to be
yes,
39
yes.
yet.
No, no, no. I'm still 38.
So what do you like to do for fun or in your spare time?
One thing that has always been a constant is like hiking and walking, kind of being in nature. I know this might sound like shit, but I love meditating and really just kind of trying to keep myself like zen and grounded. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like binge watching, trash TV, reality TV.
Do you have a
I'm
favorite
all
show?
over. I mean, there's so many. There's
Yeah.
so many. I mean, what did I finished like The Valley. I finished like Vanderpump the Villa. Like there's so many random things. Even and my husband makes fun of me, but then he'll be in the background watching it and making comments. And I'll be like, see, you like it. He's like, no, this is stupid. I'm like, it's so stupid, but it's so
Yeah, but you have to keep watching, right? And you're and
right.
you're getting sucked
Exactly.
in too.
Yeah. And I have a dog who is literally my soul dog. He has gotten me through the last 17 months. And so, yeah, I love to just spend time with him. I know it sounds silly, but if you're a dog person, you get
No,
it.
I get it completely.
He's
What kind of dog?
so he's a Australian cattle dog and bull terrier mix.
The cattle dogs are pretty. I like those.
We get stopped. So he's a foster and a foster fail, I should say. We live in a condo. I'm like, I didn't want a big dog, but as soon as we got him, we fell in love with him and he's beautiful. He's like white. He looks husky, but he's not. And people stop us on the road. Like literally, it's awkward for me because I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, he takes after us. Like, your dog's so beautiful. And I'm like, thanks.
I love it
Yeah.
though. I know it's kind of awkward. They're like, okay, like this is the fifth time today. Like, stop. I'm done with
Yeah,
this.
I never realized how no, I should actually, I know animals play such an important part in people's lives, but with him, like people really don't care. They're like, look, can we pet him? Can we this? Can we that? And I'm like, wow, okay. Where are your boundaries, people?
I know.
Like I remember when I first lost Autumn, I went for a walk. This was I don't even know how long after. I didn't want to talk to anybody. But because of him, I'm like, it was that walk that like 3 people wanted to stop and talk, and it kind of put me in a like betterish mood. But I was like, oh my God, this dog.
You're like, please stop forcing me to interact with
Yeah,
people. I do
yeah,
not
like
want to
no.
right now.
Right. Worth timing, worth timing.
So, do you mind sharing a little more about your journey?
Yeah, so it took us, oh man, let's go back here. It took us about 3 years to conceive Autumn. We were engaged and we were gonna get married so we were planning our wedding just before COVID hit and like so everything kind of like shut down and whatnot. And so were we kind of were like questioning like what do we do? When are we gonna get married? Like should because for us here, like we didn't want to things kind of really shut down. And I'm of Italian descent and like big families and like extended families. So I'm like, I'm not, and I also have a lot of friends and stuff. So I'm like, I don't want to have 10 people at my wedding. So we kind of postponed it and then we started talking about maybe we should start trying for our family because we don't know how long it's going to take, right? Thinking it wasn't going to take that long because, all my friends, they just like had sex once and they just popped out. And so then it took us about, yeah, 3 years. And then when finally we kind of made the decision to go to a fertility clinic just to kind of get checked and see. So we kind of cycle tracked for a little bit or cycle monitored. And on our first IUI, we were successful, and that was autumn. So we were like, that's it, like it's our time. I did everything leading up to it, like this thing called conscious conception, and really leaning into like my why. Why do I want to have a child? Why do I want to bring that soul in? And really focusing on like the affirmations, writing them out, meditating, really just calling in that soul. So we were just like delighted. And also I know the reality is the first IUI, it's like very rare. It happens, but it's very rare. I know a lot of friends who have had three, four unsuccessful. So we were just like blessed. And yeah, and you know what? And then so the pregnancy was pretty standard. I actually loved being pregnant. I don't know what it was. I think because I've waited so long, it was just something so special. And I was passing all the like markers, the tests, all the things until I think it was the anatomy scan. She kind of was coming up a little bit smaller, but they're like, that's totally normal. We'll just keep an eye on it. This is what they said. I had midwives. So I love my midwives. And so I had a routine, a scheduled ultrasound on the 28th, like 2 weeks after that ultrasound, just to check on the growth. Because they're like, if she falls below a certain percentage, then, we have to really see what's happening. But if not, like, she could just be a small baby. Like, okay. And then, so of the week prior, I did hear her heartbeat because I had a scheduled midwife appointment. And then my ultrasound was a week later. And then when I went in for that appointment, that's when I was told that there was no heartbeat. It was a huge shock. But when I went in, the way the ultrasound technician was questioning me, I kind of knew something was up. And so I kind of was like whispering, like, please, baby, like, please, like, just move. I didn't really feel like thinking back now, I didn't feel her move that much the few days leading up to it. I think the Tuesday really strongly. So there was a relief, but then the Wednesday I didn't feel her, but we were busy. They say when you're moving, the baby sleeps, and so we had friends from overseas come over and whatnot. And so I didn't really pay much attention. And then I had an early morning appointment, and that's kind of when I found out, and my whole world just changed. Yeah.
And how far along did you say you were?
So I was 32 weeks and 4 days. So I
Oh,
just hit the 8 month mark. Yeah.
yeah. We lost Jasmine about that same time. So, yeah, I mean, you you don't expect to lose a baby when you are that far along.
No, no, I knew like an extended family member. I mean, this is 20 plus years ago. I think she was 36 weeks, but I was young. Like I was a child back then. So, I didn't really remember much of it. So it wasn't in my mind. So yeah, you don't expect it. It was just like a complete and utter shock. And so much, obviously, comes with it. Like after you hear that, you're like, have to do all these things and deliver. And oh my gosh, it was a whirlwind.
I feel like it's all these decisions you never thought you'd have to make. And then I remember thinking, okay, like, do you give me a C-section? Do I give birth? Like, what do I do? And it's like they don't.
Yeah, I think so. This is where it's like, I wish the ultrasound technician was trained to deliver news. I mean, because like we're not dumb. Like we're very competent human beings who are having babies, you know what I mean? Like, and we know when something is up, or we usually, I would hope, we have that like that sense. She literally asked me to wait. So I had to leave and wait in this like waiting room. And then she called me back in after I don't know how long it was. But she put me in a room where my midwife was on the phone. And then that's how she told me. Right. And I'm just like, so again, my midwife was so lovely, so compassionate. Like her voice was just like honestly like an angel. But then it's like, she just like let me walk out without even checking in on me. So I don't know. I feel like they should have more training. But then, so the whole point of this was when she was telling me all of this and I was asking my questions, I'm like, okay, but like, would they be wrong? Like, what are the chances and whatnot? And then she was explaining how essentially chances are very, very low of them being wrong. And then, and then I was like, okay, so what do I do next? She goes, okay, you're gonna pack a bag. Because at that point, we just were gonna start talking about like our bag, our hospital bag, so we didn't pack anything yet. Because I'm like, what do I pack? Like, what do I do? Like, I was so lost. And she's like, oh, and she was taking me through it really nicely. But then even when I got home after, I'm like, I don't know what to pack. Like, I have no idea. I like overpacked. I don't like, it was just so surreal to even think like I'm going to the hospital, but my baby's dead inside right now. Like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I
so
agree. I think most places need more training because we've never been through it before. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what to expect. We don't know what to do. We're just kind of it's like you're physically there, but you're not really all there because yeah, it feels kind of dreamlike, I guess, or like trance-like
yeah,
almost.
the perfect way of describing it is you're in a dream. That's how I felt. That's how I still feel sometimes. But it felt like a movie scene that it just wasn't, it was so surreal because we've waited and like for so long and we're like, this is our time, and then only to end. Like you're like just you feel so close to the finish line. And then you're like, are you kidding me? Like, this is not my reality. I don't know how I walked out of there. I have no idea. My best friend, I was keeping my best friend in the loop and then my husband. And so she was essentially the first person I told because I wasn't going to tell my husband, like, on the phone. He was kind of already on the way, even though I said, don't worry. And then I just messaged him. I said, go home, meet me at home. And then he said he kind of knew. But anyways, I messaged my friend Bawling. She goes, are you okay to drive? I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Like, these are also things that wherever you are, you're finding out. Like, if you have to transport yourself, drive yourself somewhere, like, it's just I feel it's just like compassionate. Like it's
Right.
not, I know it's not part of the job role, but it's just being a kind person. Like after this person has just found out that their baby is dead inside of them.
Right. And then you're like,
Like,
okay, well, go drive yourself home and we'll
yeah,
see you tomorrow to
like,
deliver. Like, okay.
right? Yeah, like
Like, it's like, all right, thanks for the help.
it's yeah, when I think about it, because I don't really share that part because I had more beautiful moments of like her birth and my midwives and stuff. Not that. When I do think about it and I talk about it, I'm like, I don't know how. Like, I feel like sometimes I feel I should report, like, write a review or something, or be like, hey, listen, like, FYI, like, think about how you treat other people when they're leaving.
Right. And I just wonder, like, would they treat people like that, telling them, oh, like your mother passed away, your father passed away, like your brother, like,
Yeah.
would they treat them differently? Is it different because it's a baby? I always wonder about stuff like that.
Right, right. I
So
agree.
do they know what happened, like what caused the loss?
So what we are understanding is it seems to have been placenta insufficiency. So her cord was hypercoiled. So it was like tight coils. And then she somehow managed to create like a true knot. And so that's kind of like what came out of the pathology report. I didn't want to do an autopsy on her. Something in me just knew that she was very healthy. And I just didn't want her little body like cut open and those thoughts. And obviously to each their own. And I don't judge anybody, but we just didn't feel right doing that. So we didn't do an autopsy, but that's essentially like what they kind of said that it was the placenta just not doing its job, which we also heard that through fertility treatments, they usually suggest being induced earlier because it's seen as like not a natural way of getting pregnant, even though our body's still doing its job naturally, like even though there's still the 2 week wait and whatnot, that the placenta actually does eventually stop doing what it needs to do. Now, obviously, in this case, we don't know what the cause of it was, but essentially, yeah, like the blood flow to her was restricted.
So I guess not knowing the cause, is that something that they said you would have to worry about for any future pregnancies, or is that something that was like a one-time thing?
You know what? I think it's more so for my next pregnancy, the team is just going to be bigger.
Mhm.
We have a placenta guru here, is what they call Dr. Kingdom, and some of my friends and lost moms have seen him. He deals with any patients who have had previous losses due to the placenta, whether it's placenta abruption or anything like that. And so my family doctor will refer me to him and just kind of more monitoring and whatnot. So I'm also very spiritual. And I do like my best friend, she does Reiki and she's an energy, she's a healer, as I would call her, and she's connected to Autumn. And so there's like the physical reason how she died, but then there's the spiritual reason that I got that I'm still kind of grappling with. But so it's interesting. It's interesting when you have faith. Like I'm not sure, I haven't dived deep into your into your story yet, but if you what your faith is like or whatnot, because obviously this just throws everything up in the air. I'm like, I don't know what I believe in manifesting. I manifested autumn, but then like look what happened. Like, there's so many things that you believe in, and then you're like, okay, well, this isn't supposed to happen.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely made me struggle with my faith too because I was, we found out about her diagnosis early and every day I was like praying like, okay, just let her be okay. I'll do whatever you want. Just like
Yeah,
let's let her be okay. And then after that I'm like, what the hell? Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
lost her, and it just yeah, I was very angry for a long time.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I that completely understand that. And like just questioning why, like why I don't understand, like, even the reasons that I got, like spiritually and whatnot, it still didn't make sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
hard. This I struggle. I mean, I think we all do struggle with the what ifs and the whys and it because it
Yeah.
feels like you're being targeted personally, even
Yeah.
though or like, oh well, I must be a bad person. I must have done something wrong or, but
Right. I know. Right. And I don't think it's a matter of us have doing that. Again, it depends on what you believe in. So her reasoning for coming in is she wanted to heal me. And she had the tools, her soul had the tools to come through this lifetime and to heal me from my past lives and things like that. And I struggled with that for a very long time because I'm like, what are you healing? Because I'm forever broken. Like, and obviously you understand the laughing. Like it's just the dark humor and like it's just
oh yeah, no, I mean, I
um,
was thinking the same thing. Like when you said that, it's like, okay, you're healing me, but you left me more unhealed. Like
Right,
that's it.
right, right. So I had to work really hard through that. I've come to I have a beautiful relationship with her from the other side. And so, I mean, she's obviously changed me in so many ways, literally from the moment that I found out about her and then about like her not being here anymore. And so there's so many ways that she's obviously like, and it's in a way I feel like she's shifted my soul's purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to lean into that. I'm not discarding like any feelings that come up or my sadness or whatnot. Like that's still there. Like she was real. She's my baby. Like I'll never, I think that just will not that's something that I'll never be able to like get over or like accept. But there's other things that have come with her. I'm gonna just say with her in general, like her whole
Right.
story. And like you, how you've chosen to keep Jasmine's legacy and story alive. Like I can see myself going that route and helping other people. I don't know how it will look like, but just starting through these like podcasts and talking about her and talking to people like you and, other lost moms and connecting and our baby. Obviously, I do also feel like our babies bring us, like, connect us with certain people for a reason.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
pretty
I
sure
definitely
Jasmine,
agree.
Jasmine and Autumn definitely.
They're buddies now, right?
Yep, yep. They got a whole crew up there.
I know that brings me comfort though, like thinking that they've got all these other friends up there and that they're all just playing and just waiting until we get to see them again. That's
I know. I
comforting
know.
when on my really sad days.
Yeah, no, I agree.
How did you come up with her name?
So my husband and I love the fall. So there's a few reasons here. So number one, yes, fall is our favorite season. And then I had a student once, her name was Autumn, and she was just, I don't know, I loved her personality. She just did her own thing. She was rough around the edges. I loved her personality, but then I loved that name. It was so unique. And then so we had it picked out like before, like when we started talking about trying. Like we had her name picked out for like 3 solid years. And then Angela came about because she's named after my godmother, my aunt. And I always wanted to name my child after my aunt because she died when I was 6, but we had a very close relationship. And so that kind of sparked that, but I wasn't sure for a while. Like honestly, even for the week before we found out that she was no longer with us, my husband and I were talking about names, and I'm like, I don't know if this is so funny because to me, Autumn Angela didn't flow, but now I'm like, it's so perfect, right? And then it was when we were in the hospital, we were walking, and I said, "Can we name her Autumn Angela?" And he goes, "That's the most perfect name." And it
Oh,
just kind of all fell together.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny when you're like, "Oh, this name sounds weird." And then you're like, "No, why did I ever think that? It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's the name."
To this day, like, why did I think that? It's like AA. Like
Right?
I don't know. My mind was like, it doesn't flow at all.
I know sometimes our minds are weird, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So while you were struggling to get pregnant, did you know any other people who also went through infertility or struggled with that part of it?
Did I at that time? Good question. I know I knew people who knew people. So, like, the reason why I came across my fertility clinic was because my cousin had a friend who was going through some fertility issues, and went to this clinic. And so she kind of gave me the name. I originally picked a different clinic, and then it just wasn't working out. I felt like a number. So then but at the time, no, I didn't. Now I do. Now I'm just like, I feel like I know too much sometimes.
Oh,
But
yes.
no, back then, no, I didn't. Not many people. It's because for some reason, I guess it's the stigma, just like talking about pregnancy and loss, and there's a stigma. And so people don't share until something happens. And then everyone came out of the woodworks and be like, oh my goodness, I had this loss and I had twins and I had this and, like all these stories. And we struggled for this long, and I'm just like, wow, like why don't we talk about it more? Like it's so lonely,
It is.
right?
I know.
Like
And that happened with me too. Other people reached out and I'm like, it makes me kind of sad that you didn't feel like you could tell me this before. Like why did it take
I
this?
know, and it's I think that's a hard thing too, but then going through it, you start to understand why it would be hard, but it's also their upbringing,
Yeah.
right? And like my sister-in-law's grandmother, I mean, she just passed away and she was 94, but my sister-in-law only found out that her grandmother had lost a child during childbirth through my story, like her sharing about me losing Autumn. And and she said she cried as if it was the first time that this has happened. Like, and he would maybe be 40 or yeah, maybe 40 years old. And so like that wound is just so deep, and she doesn't know where he was buried. The family, I think, took the baby thinking it would be the better option for her not to see him. From my recollection, I'm pretty sure this is the story that I was told. So, you know, it's just it's just interesting. Like I feel like we've evolved, but like not enough. Like we've
Yeah.
come so far, right, with learning and like the advocacy and people like you and whatnot. And but then there's just so much more. Like our society, I don't know, because you're in the States, right? I
Yeah.
don't know about the States, but I know here in my community, like we're so grief illiterate and
Oh
people
yeah,
get
here
so
too.
awkward. Like, okay, like
That seems to be a universal thing, huh?
yeah, oh my gosh. I wish it wasn't,
Yeah.
but
But no, I totally agree. I mean, I know that was definitely the thing to do at the time is to they thought it was better to not let them see the babies or whatever. But I can't
yeah.
imagine like going through labor, just having your baby taken away, and then just having to like go on pretending like it never happened and they never existed. That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I can't. I that would be really tough. I don't. Yeah, that would take a lot of healing. But then back then, you just push things down, right?
yeah,
And
I've
you don't
definitely
do.
tried to do that, and that does
Yeah,
not work.
no, does not work, right? It does not work.
You have
It
that
comes
like
out.
big explosion at a unfortunate time usually.
Yeah, and you're like, why am I being triggered right now? And you're like, because you're not dealing with it.
I know. It's like, but I don't want to deal with it. I'm tired of being sad.
Yeah,
I
I
do
know.
remember like coming home from the hospital and I mean, obviously I've been crying like nonstop and so I was like, I just want to do something normal. I don't want to cry anymore. And it's just like those, and then I felt guilty for wanting to do something normal. So it's loss
I
is,
know. I know. There's so many emotions that come with our loss. It's unreal. It makes the like the loss of a child is, I think, like nothing else. I think it's
yeah,
the worst of the worst because there's so many layers, and it's not even like just that initial period of losing them. It's there's so many other losses and layers and then like chapters and like oh my gosh.
yeah.
That's why
I
you
know
have
it's
all these episodes, right?
I know it's so hard to describe, like, especially if you've never been through it. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I feel
Yeah.
like people who haven't been through it, they just can't possibly understand it. Not
No,
fully.
and this, no, no, exactly. I think also anyone who hasn't been hit with grief, because I know a few people who grief shares a few commonalities, but then there's different relationships. And like we've lost our child, right? And someone who's lost a mother but sometimes, but if they're not close, that grief is different than if they were like there's so many different relationships and losses, but I find talking to certain people who've even lost their mother or a brother, like they understand grief to a certain extent, but then not, and then but then it's different. Then it gets super messy with our loss. And but for example, like if you're close to someone and you lost them, like there's always going to be events that they're not there. So they understand that aspect, that there's things like, and you go on dated, like you think about them all the time.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend actually who lost her mother a couple of years ago, and so we relate on that. We both have days that are really hard, and we know those days are coming and the leading up to it. So even though we lost different people, we
Yeah.
have those commonalities like you're talking about with the grief.
Yeah. Yeah. So my EA, one of my colleagues in my class, she lost her mother a few years ago. And yeah, we've become really close as a result of through our losses, which is like bittersweet. But we understand that you're gonna wake up and not want to do anything, even if it's been a few years, right? Like, yeah.
Some days are just like that. Some days you just don't know what you're going to get until you wake up.
It's true. It's true. So today, I picked this date for a reason because it's the 29th. So Autumn was born December 29th. And so it's her 17 months. And so when I do things like in honor of her, I try to pick like her date. And so I strategically, I waited a whole month so that so I did it on this day.
I love that though. That's so special. I love those little things that we can do to help remember them and, help, it's our way of parenting them. Even though
Yeah,
they're not here with us, we're still their parents and we still
yeah,
do things to parent them.
it's true. It's true. And I feel like, I feel like, seeing your posts and whatnot in your stories, like you are very creative as well. Like we become creative in how we honor them and connect with them and keep them alive, essentially. That's how I
Yeah.
look at it. She's very, I mean, it's fitting because she's like right there.
And she's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. You know what? My midwife took that picture and it's our favorite. And I was nervous about putting this on the wall. My husband printed it for me. I think it was like a birthday present. I last year, my first birthday without her, it was I didn't want to be celebrated, but he printed this and I'm like, "Are you sure?" I don't even know why, but it's just, we have all these thoughts. I'm sure
Oh
you've gone
yeah.
through it. I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because I have she's everywhere. I have pictures of her everywhere now. I'm like, I'm like, "That's big." She's like, "So what?" She goes, "That she's our daughter, and if anyone is uncomfortable, then they can leave." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. Like,
I
and now
love
I'm like,
that.
I'm proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have one. You can't see it behind me, but I have one over here of Jasmine in my home office, and
Yeah.
I kind of thought the same thing. I was like, well, what if people think weird, or they're like, oh, you're weird for hanging your dead baby in your office. But then I'm like, you know what? Screw them. Like,
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
look at her,
Yeah.
my daughter.
And then I think my grandparents they're from Italy. And I don't know if it's a European thing or if it's just because they're in their 80s and 90s now. So if it's like a past thing. But we were going through pictures a long time ago. This was like years ago. And there's pictures of people in their casket, like dead people. And I was like, why would you take a picture of that? And now I'm just like, oh, I get it. Like, there's like no judgment. There's no judgment anymore. Like, I completely get it. I never thought I would be someone sharing when I go to the cemetery to connect with her. Like, but I'm like, no, this is how we connect with our loved ones, and we're going to attract the right people who need to see that it's normal, and then the supportive people.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely does. Like we've talked about, it definitely does change so many things about you. And all these things that you thought were weird or didn't understand before, now you're like, you know what? I get it. You keep doing it, I'll probably do it
Yeah,
too.
exactly, exactly. I don't know, have you posted, but have you read the book Signs?
I have not.
Oh, I follow her too. So it's a book about connecting to our loved ones. And I read it recently, and it just validated all the signs that I got from the moment that I walked in or I woke up the next day to now. Literally, because we think we're crazy. Like, oh no, that like candle flame is not, it's just my eyes, right? It's not moving, it's not dancing. Well, no, it's them, it's them. That book has been such a crucial part in my journey now. Like, I ask all my loved ones for signs. Like, and they will want to communicate with us. Let me tell you. Autumn is like, man, she's bold. She's a bold soul. She just comes out of nowhere.
I love that though. You can tell a little bit about her personality by that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I've been to a few me I oh, I've been to two mediums, I think. But one I went to a few times, and she said to me when she goes, "Oh my gosh," she goes, "If there's one person showing me all these new things," she goes, "it is Autumn." She goes, "Your daughter?" She goes, "She's a firecracker." I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense." Because like I'm crazy, so like, but then it makes me sad, right?
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, oh, I can't experience her like here
Yeah,
and
it's nice to be
finding
able to
that
like
like,
hear those things about her, but then on the other hand, you're like, oh, like I want to be the one seeing it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely wish I was like a medium.
I know that'd be nice to be able to just hear from them every day.
Yeah. Have you been to a medium before,
I
like
actually
after
have not.
Jasmine?
I've heard a lot of people that have. I've
Mhm.
considered it, but it's just not something I've done yet.
Right. Yeah. 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 That's okay. Everyone's different, right? And everyone has different beliefs. So,
Do you do anything special like for her birthday or due date or anything like that?
so we just hit in December was the 1 year. So I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. And I think this is where when people say like, don't put pressure on it, like if you want to plan something, but if the day of, like, don't worry. So I did actually have like a little gathering. At first I was like, no, I don't want to do anything. But I'm like, you know what? If she was here, like my personality is to be extra. And so you know what? I'm gonna be extra even though she's not here. So we had it was downpour, so I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I wanted to like release lanterns and stuff. But I had like my closest friends and family here. We just honored her. I we had cake. We listened to a song for her. I read a book. And then yeah, we just kind of were it was actually really nice because it ended up being like an uplifting evening. So Will and I, every month, what we did was we wrote a letter and got the amount of gerbras. I just because I love gerbras. So for her 1 month, it was 1 month, one flower. For her 2 months, two flowers, and we would go and visit her. And so obviously her 12 months was no difference. I brought balloons to the cemetery. And so we kind of had our own time together with her. And then we had everyone come over.
I love that. It
And
sounds like you have a lot of supportive family and friends.
for the most part, I think they've been learning through me. I'm sharing my grief journey. So, like, I'm an open book. And I think, yeah, I think they've just been the ones who have stuck around. They ask questions, they listen, and they've learned quite a bit on how to even support people who are going through loss. Yeah, so I would say we have a pretty solid support group outside of the loss community. However, the loss community is like that's where it is. Like that is, who I go to if I'm feeling any certain emotions. They just validate that like I'm not crazy.
Oh.
Yeah.
When did you find the loss community? Was it like right after your loss or was it later?
I jumped right in to all the healing, all the support. I mean, I'm grateful that my friend does Reiki and she's kind of like tapping into her mediumship, but she through Autumn because she's actually connected to Autumn while I was pregnant. And then it kind of just like led her to realize a lot more. And she connects to like her mother and whatnot. But so I started with the energy healing. I've seen, so I think I started a support group through my hospital, maybe like 3 weeks after. Yeah, I jumped right in and then they were just so welcoming. There was a beautiful group. It was quite large at the time. Some of them had their rainbow babies and whatnot. So I found them quite early on, which was really helpful. Yeah.
Do you feel like the hospital gave you good resources or anything when you left, or did they just kind of like send you on your way?
No, actually, they were really supportive. The social worker, we had a social worker come and visit a few times. And then she kind of said, these are the supports. And she didn't pressure us, but she's like, I'm going to give you this package. Look through it when you're ready. And she kind of explained like what we had access to. So there's like PALE, the Pregnancy and Infant Loss Network of Ontario. They have groups monthly and whatnot. And there's so many different things. So I'm actually a volunteer now with them. So I found that and yeah, and actually I think was it a few days after I left the hospital or the week after they called to check up on me. And then that's when I kind of like it's a self-referral to the loss group. It's virtual, which is really nice too, because if you don't feel like, getting changed or anything, you literally could just log in and whatnot. So yeah, I kind of found them very helpful.
That is nice. I like having the option of in person or virtual so that you can do, whichever one, because oftentimes it's a lot of effort to get dressed, get out of the house, like go to a group. But if you can just
Oh my
log
gosh,
on, I
yeah.
mean, I feel
Yeah,
like a lot more
especially
people
at
will
the
go.
beginning, right? Especially I want to say a few months, but it really, the first year is like, you don't know. Like now I understand what they're saying. Like, once you get through the first year, you kind of, things hit you differently and you still don't have, like, it's hard to have those expectations, but you know the waves are going to come and go.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, no, having the option, like having them virtual, it's weekly. I still attend. That was one of my ways of it going back to work was that I had Tuesdays off to attend my group. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share or add?
No, I don't know. I just it's nice talking and sharing about autumn and it's really, I think I get motivated by people like you that have turned your pain into purpose. And I think that's what I'm like been trying to do with becoming. So I actually speak at compassionate care workshops where it's at the hospitals and they literally were just, we talk about our experience, whether it was compassionate or not, and how they can be more compassionate with people going through loss. And I hope one day I could be super supportive to more people as well.
I think that's amazing that you do that, though. It just kind of started for me, it just started with one thing and then, just kind of built from there. And I think you just find more and more ways as you go that you can help other families. And, it just kind of builds on itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm learning from all you beautiful souls. And it just kind of evolves, and I'm just like, okay, it's gonna evolve however it evolves. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Autumn really, I used to call her my light worker, and I think she really is a light worker, but from the other side, and she's still making her mark. And I think it's important that this we just share their stories to help other people and know that they're not alone and that everything like this there's so much noise in the society, but yet there's no noise about pregnancy loss and the challenges that come. So I think we need people like us, like you, like
Yes, I
Jasmine, like
definitely
Autumn.
agree. Our babies will never be forgotten because we will never let them be forgotten.
Exactly. Yep. I say I'm a loud griever because
That's
I
okay.
am
That's good.
loud, right? Yep. Yeah, no, and I just want to thank you for even the ways that you honor the babies. I think though you were one of the first few pages that I found right after Autumn. Like I kind of immediately was like, okay, I need something before I started my Instagram page. And I think you were the first one who shared it was for December, I think December or February babies. I forget because her due date was February, but she was born December. And I'm just like, this is like so beautiful.
Oh,
Like just the way that you honor so many babies, it's so special for us. Oh,
I
thank
know
you
how
so
important
much.
it is to me to see my daughter's name. So, I just try to, we don't get to see them written, we
It's
don't get
true.
to hear them. So, try to do what I can. So,
It's
I'm glad
true.
it's
Thank you.
meaningful.
It's so meaningful, so meaningful.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for sharing your story with us. Remember, you can still add your baby's name to both the special Bereaved Parents Day post, which will be in July, and the Wave of Light name reading, which will be in October. If you want your baby to be part of these, you can email me at sarah@journeyforjasmine.com or see my social media posts at Journey for Jasmine. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you like the show, please take a moment to leave a positive review or rating on Apple or Spotify. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, we are all in this together.